To my channel. In this video, I'm going to discuss about caching mechanism in Spring Boot application. Many times it is asked in interview also, like you will be given a scenario and you will be told like there is an API which is frequently getting called and you have to improve the performance. So how are you going to improve that? So in this video, I have taken a scenario. The scenario is you have a API to fetch book detail which is frequently called and we need to improve performance by catching result. So how we are going to implement and which catch you are going to implement in this video. I am talking about Redis catch. So I'll be implementing Redis catch and I'll be discussing about Redis catch in Spring Boot application. And so let's get started. To be in brief, let me tell you like what will be the sequence of the video. First I'll discuss about theory, then I'll discuss about the code implementation, and in the end I'll give the demo of the working code, and then I'll also give the GitHub link where I'll be uploading my code. So if you want to check out the code and practice, you can check out the repository. So let's get started. So I've already discussed the scenario. So I'll just give in a brief again to start the video. Like there is a book API which is getting called frequently and we want to improve the performance by implementing a catch so that it API is not called, so that every time when this API is called it's not hitting the database. So let's get started. I'll just start with theory, like what is Redis and what is advantage of using Redis catch and what annotation we will be using and what dependency we will be adding. So let's get started with all of the theory details. So here you can see on my slide which is what is catching. So if we go with the definition of the catching, it is just the temporary storage of frequently accessed data to avoid repeated expensive operations. What is the benefits? Like you will have a faster response time, it will reduce the database or API load, you will have a better scalability. And if you talk about type of catch, so you have like in memory catch, distributed catch. If you talk about in memory catch, you have like concurrent hash map, EH catch, and distributed catch are like Redis or Memcached. So why we need Redis catch? So Redis is nothing but remote dictionary server. It is in-memory key value data store with sub-millisecond latency. It supports persistence. It has TTL, which is time to live, and it is ideal for distributed system and microservices. And it is widely supported in Spring Boot using Spring Boot Starter Data Redis. So because of this, it becomes very important when we talk about any catching mechanism in a distributed system. So what are the annotation that we'll be using when we go for the implementation of Redis catch? So first annotation which we'll be needing is enable catching, which will activate catching mechanism. Then we'll have catchable. Then we have catch put for updating catch with the new data. Then we have catch evict for removing data from catch, and then we have catching for combining multiple catch operation. You can see that example code which I have given in the slide, where we are just using the catchable annotation and the value and the key. So these things we'll see in the code. Here it's just that theory. so that when I explain the code, you have idea like what I am talking about. Next, we'll see that what are the steps to implement Redis catch. So the first step when you go for implementation of the catch is you need to add the dependency in your project. So here you can see that we have the starter data Redis dependency and we have Spring Boot starter catch. So these two dependency you need to add, and then at application level you need to add this @enable catching annotation, and you have to also download the Redis and you have to run Redis server in your local. Here I have downloaded Redis server on Docker and I am running on Docker. So these are the Docker command to run the Redis server. So that I'll be explaining in the later part of the video. Then what configuration you need to do in the code in order to catch, what configuration you need to do in the code in order to implement the Redis catch. So first you have to give the configuration in application.properties like Spring catch type, which is Redis, and then you have to give the host, port and time to live. So host will be localhost because it is running in my local system, and the port is 6379 and time to live I have given is 10 minutes. And then also you can have custom configuration class which is catch config, and then you can create a bin of Redis catch configuration with this sample code. Now let's talk about benefits and best practices. So what are the benefits? The first benefit is faster API response. Second is decreases load on DB. Third is distributed and scalable catching. And last is automatic expiration with TTL. And now let's talk about the best practices. So always use proper catch keys. Set appropriate TTL to avoid stale data. Use catch evict when updating and deleting data. Monitor Redis usage. So these are the benefits and best practices we should follow when you implement any of the catching mechanism in your project. So here comes the end of the theory. Now let's move to step by step implementation of the code. So I will go to IntelliJ, and here you can see that I have a project called library management, and this project is in continuation of my all the scenario based questions. So someone who is looking this video newly, I will recommend to go back and check out my previous videos so that you will have some continuation like what I am talking about. So I have already talked about the project structure and other things in my previous videos. So in this video I'll only talk about the Redis implementation. So first we talked in theory, right? We need to add the dependency. So let me go to the pom.xml where we need to add the dependency. So we talked about these two dependency. First was like Spring Boot starter data Redis, and second is Spring Boot starter catch. So these are the two dependency you need to add in your pom.xml if it is a Maven project. If it is a Gradle project, you can add in build.gradle file. Depending upon what project you have, you need to add your dependency. Once you added your dependency, then next step is you have to use that at the rate enable catching annotation on the application label. So you can come to your application where you have this at the rate Spring Boot application annotation used. You need to add this at the rate enable catching annotation so that you catching is enabled in your application. Once you add this at the rate enable catching annotation, now you need to have your catch config class. So this you have to write a configuration class where you can create a bean of Redis catch configuration, and here we are using default catch config, and then we are configuring like TTL which is 10 minutes, and we are disabling catching null values. This configuration you can do as per your requirements. I have just given the default one. And next what you need to do is in application.properties you need to add that Redis server detail. So let me go to application.properties. So here you see these are the Redis detail configuration in application.properties file. So I have like a Spring catch type which is Redis, then I have Spring Redis host which is localhost because it is running in my local system, and then it is running on port 6379 and time to live is 10 minutes. That I'll also show you like where the Redis server is running in local. So as I have already explained in the video initially that I am running my server on a Docker. You can run your server in your local machine also, or you can run it in a Docker also. It's just that you have to map the port from the Docker to the your local machine. So let me show you where the Redis server is running. So here you can see that my Docker is up, and here you can see that Redis server is running. So name of the server is Redis server, and port here you can see that 6379 which is mapped to 6379 of my system. So the same port you can see here in the code also 6379 this code. So it will map to my Redis server which is running on Docker. And now in order to implement the catch, let me go to book controller. So for this API get books by author name, this is I have implemented this catching. So if we go to the service layer, let me go to the book service. Here you see I have used this catching at the rate catchable, and then inside that we are passing attribute value and key so that it is saved in the catch. So this annotation which is at the rate catchable will save the book detail in the catch. We'll see when we hit the API in some time. So first time when the API is called, if there is no data in the catch, it will make a call to the database, and after that when this API is called, it will check in the catch. If there is a data, it will return the data from the catch, not from the database. So this is how the catch will work. Now I have another controller also, catch controller. So here I have a API. If you want to clear your catch, Like if you want to delete the data from your cache, you can say in other words. So there is a API called clear, which is taking a parameter called string name, which is optional. If you don't want to pass, you don't have to pass. Then it will clear all the cache if there is no particular cache name is passed. If you are passing some cache name, it will clear cache from that particular cache name. If not, then it will clear from all the cache. So this is the implementation, how we are going to implement. So now let me run this project and we'll see that whether the caching is working as expected or not. So now let me run this project and we'll see that our code is working as expected or not. So let me run this project, and you can see here that Tomcat is started on port 8080. So now let me go to Postman. So this is the API get book by author, where I have implemented this caching mechanism. So first time we are making this API call, so it should go and make a call to database, get the response, save in cache, and then return the response. After that, whenever I make a call to this API, it should not make a call to database. It should directly go and check the cache. If the data is available, it should respond from the cache. It should give the response from the cache. So we'll see here first. So I have given a log message. So I have given a log message when API call happens from the database. So it will print. If it is not making a database, it should not print that message. So let me go to IntelliJ. Here you see right now there is no message. I'll just clear this console and then go to Postman and I'll hit this API. So here you see that I got the response, and here you can see that time is 443 millisecond, because first time I made a call to this API. Now let me go to IntelliJ, and here also you can see that message which is I have logged in the code is getting printed here, which is saying that fetching books from database and the author name. So first time that API call was made, so it made a call to database, get the response, saved in the cache, and then response was given back to the client. Now here you can see that time taken was 443 millisecond. Now again I will make a call to this API, and the things to notice here is that time taken to get the response now is 64 millisecond. In the first call it was 443 millisecond, but in the second call it is 64 millisecond, which is more faster than expected. So first API which took 443 millisecond, next call it only took 64 millisecond. So it is a faster. And now if you go, you will not see that message getting printed, only once it is getting printed for the first time. So caching is working as expected. Our response time is fast. Next time you made a call, you see that time is 31 milliseconds. Next time again you are making a call, it is 10 milliseconds. So this is how cache helps in making our response faster. So my cache is working as expected. Now I also told about the clearing the cache. So here is the API to clear the cache. So let's see. Here you see it is saying that all cache cleared successfully. So whenever you want to clear your cache, you can clear by calling this API. And now if you go back and call this API again, here you see time is more now and we are getting the response. And you will also see that message getting printed. You see, because when I clear the cache, there is no data in the cache, so it will go to database and get the data from DB. So my caching is working as expected. So I have only given the demo or implementation only for the cacheable annotation. You can check it out about the other annotations like catch, evict, which we talked in the theory. That is task for the people who are watching this video. So you can implement those annotations also for updating the cache and deleting the cache. If you don't understand or if you have any doubt, just let me know in the comment section. I'll help you. Now let me go to so as I told, right, I'll also pushing this code to the GitHub. I have a GitHub repository called scenario based questions where you can go and check out the repository and see the code. So this is the code for the implementation of the Redis cache. What you need to do in order to get the code is you can go to this repository. Here you can see that you have a branch name called Spring Boot Cache. So if you check out this branch, you will get the working code for caching implementation. So so if you check out this branch, you will have the code for the implementation of Redis cache. So here you see all the branch name is having code for respective implementation. So database integration will have the code for database integration. Error handling is about the error handling. Role based Spring security, where you will have code for role based Spring security. So if you check out any branch, you will get the code for implementation of that particular scenario based questions. And if you want all the code that you can clone to master branch, you will have all of the code at one place. So this is the place where you will get the code. Now I will be adding this link in the description section of the video as well. So I hope that I was able to make you understand like how are we going to implement this caching in a Spring Boot application and how we are going to improve our performance of API. So if at all you have any confusion or doubt, let me know in the comment section. I will help you. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.